to Ottawa Experts. I'm your host, Barbara Balfour. Well, it's that magical time of year again, that festive time of year where it's time to get yourself and your home into the holiday spirit. The holiday season is also full of potential landmines. Even if you know better, you could still end up regifting grandma's sweater to the wrong person, get into an argument with Uncle Bob, the lone Trump supporter, at your family Christmas dinner, or have a meltdown trying to make your own Christmas decorations. But if you've always wanted to learn how to put together the perfect charcuterie board, throw an epic holiday party, or how to conduct yourself at your office's Christmas party, you're in luck. Tonight's show is a guide to holiday etiquette and entertaining, and that includes tips on how to deal with Uncle Bob's inappropriate remarks at the next family gathering. Here to give you tips and tricks on not just surviving, but also thriving and finding joy in the holiday season this year are two very special guests. First, I am so pleased to introduce home and party stylist extraordinaire, Deneen May. She's also an award-winning real estate agent and in the top 10% of all real estate agents in the country. Deneen helps people elevate their party or seasonal gathering to the next level and bring confidence to the table, to their home, and to themselves. Welcome to the show, Deneen.
Thank you, Barbara.
Next, I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Julie Blais-Comeau. She is the host and producer of L'Apéro avec Julie on TV Rogers 23. She's also Canada's go-to etiquette expert and the founder of etiquettejulie.com. It's a training and development firm which is dedicated to teaching poise, polish, and professionalism. In addition to being the Chief Etiquette Officer, Julie is also the author of 4 books. Welcome to the show, Julie.
Nice to be back.
Thank you so much for joining us. So, a good party starts at the door, Deneen, and I know you're big into holiday decor. You've brought us a garland. What have you got here?
Thank you. Well, I do like to say it starts at the door, for sure, because when the thing you want to do when people come to your house is it's all about presentation. So that's where it starts, at the door. People don't even really think about it. Yes, it's about the dinner. Yes, it's about all the other things you're doing.
But you got to set the tone.
You have to set the tone. Exactly. So it does start at the door. So for me especially, a holiday doesn't go by without putting the urns out and the planters outside and the wreaths on the door.
And you sent us some photos. Maybe you could pull those up.
Yeah.
A couple of photos of some of those urns and planters. So there they are. Yeah. Have a look there. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. So I always like to, now I encourage people, now those obviously very full. I've got the birch in there, I've got pine cones, I've got everything in there. But over the years I have gotten quite the collection of those things. So I always encourage people to buy stuff basic, and then you can always add in extra stuff, purchase it and keep it over the years. Or if you're using one, you can really, like, don't just put it in the green bin and don't throw it away after the season's over. I always keep them.
So all these things are reusable. I mean, these are not real pine cones, obviously.
Right. Yeah. No, everything, exactly. So I always bring those, like everything comes in a stick.
Okay.
So everything comes in a stick. So ribbons, you should always keep the ribbons. Those, I've had these for years, and you can reuse them, and you should reuse them.
Yeah, and you can use them from the decorations outside to inside to out. And then I like to use them on top of gifts. We're reduce, reuse, recycle. Yeah. Is that Jack Johnson, who's going to be here at the Blues?
It's all about sustainability these days.
It really, really is, and so I do encourage people to do that.
And so you would just buy this garland?
Well, you can buy, they do get expensive, right? Especially garland gets expensive. So I like to tell people, if you get basic and place, like, go in, you can go to Michael's, you can go to the dollar store.
Could you find something like this at the dollar store?
You couldn't get the garland, but the inserts you might be able to get there.
Okay.
Michael's still, you get stuff a pretty good deal, 50% off. They start that back in November. The prices are very, very good.
So you don't even have to wait until Boxing Day?
No. Oh, no. The people who are doing this, they start early.
And so the nice thing about this, like with the different kinds of inserts that you buy, like you can create many different kinds of looks, right?
Totally.
So show us some of the looks that you would create.
I like to, and again, these are a little bit, I always like to work with long stems and sticks, and you, like, year after year, you can keep using them. So this is an indoor garland. I don't necessarily do outdoor per se. Because I don't think we've got the climate for it. Unless you've got something covered, you could really ruin your garland, definitely. So stick with the indoor.
And I mean, this is just sort of as the mood strikes, I guess.
As the mood strikes. So add a little pops of color. So I'm just, and this is really, there's no wrong or right way to do this. It's just however you're feeling.
And you don't have to worry about colors clashing or anything like that.
No, no, no.
And don't you find what I usually pick out every year is a color palette. So this year, I decided I was going to go white, gold, green, and a very soft pink.
Right.
And then I look back, what do I have from last year that matches that? What can I reuse from somewhere else in the house?
Exactly.
And then I put little hints of that everywhere. From the door, from the driveway, all the way in, even the bathroom, everywhere.
I always pick a color palette every year. Every year. You'll find in the tree, which we'll get into those photos later, I chose that specifically to match my wall. So that.
Do you change wall colors every year?
No, don't change wall colors. But this one specifically.
Some people are that crazy.
Some people,
their Christmas room, they change all the time.
That's taking it to the next level.
But you can totally change it. This one I match my wall, but I have boxes of stuff with every color. So every year I can incorporate different colors.
And where would you keep this?
So the garland, that would go up the staircase. I've got a picture of the staircase in the next set of photos if you want to. And this is a tiny version.
Okay,
right?
Let's pull out some of the photos that you sent us with the garland on the staircase. So there it is, very beautiful. How do you keep it on the staircase? Like, do you need something to fix it?
Just there's little ties at the end, so you just tie at the end, And I've got the little sprig. I've added these. I always have every year, and you can put different things every year in and change the colors around. You can add balls. I do recommend people glue guns. You should always get a glue gun.
Okay.
You don't have to glue these on the garland. If you're going to, like, this could also be a nice for your dining room table.
Yeah, centerpiece.
Could be a centerpiece. Beautiful.
Sure. That was going to be my next question, because what if you live in a condo, an apartment instead of a house? You don't have a staircase.
You don't have a staircase.
Yeah.
This makes a nice centerpiece.
And so would you put the snacks around it, or?
You could. Yeah, you could do anything.
Like
whatever.
On the
snacks
table?
could be, but this is going to be on the dining room table, so.
So you would have dinner around it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So that's one sort of look.
Okay.
And you just really, if it's going to sit on the dining room table, I don't think you need to glue these in, hot glue in. You really just tuck them in and they will stay.
If you hot glue it on the wreath, like, how would you get the glue off? Might it destroy part of the garland or anything like that?
Well, that's why you don't hot glue it unless you really want it to stay.
Forever.
Right. Okay. But I like to change them. I always change things up.
Yeah.
Always, always. I'm one for changing colors, so I'm going to do a quick little change. Because that's more traditional, the red. You don't have to go with a red traditional.
Absolutely adorable.
Yeah.
Now, Julie, when you go to holiday parties in Ottawa, like, do you have expectations when you're invited to a Christmas party?
I don't hand out etiquette tickets, Barbara. I could. Sometimes I wish I could, but I don't.
Sometimes you wish you could.
The expectation, is just you go there, and especially during the holiday season, you're there to spread joy, good cheer. That's every guest's role.
Yeah.
That's the purpose. That's why we go.
Yeah, there we go. So, adding just a little color, and once again, it's a beautiful thing of working with artificial versus real greens. Well, I do love real greens.
Because they bring that scent, that nice scent into the home.
Beautiful, right. Yeah. And they are just lovely. And but the nice thing is you can just mold these and move them where you want them. You can't really do that with real.
So, absolutely.
Just basic, right? And now it looks, and now you've got a different look altogether.
Now, should you have elements of matte and elements of sparkle? Like, I'm seeing different textures
Yes, that's totally a preference. We all actually are wearing sparkle.
Yes.
So we love the sparkle.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't wear a sparkle, so I wouldn't clash with my decorating. So yeah, a little sparkle and a little, it's not traditional. It's a little pink, a little green. It looks nice. And then I thought for people just to, so I realized I had a pineapple from summer that's pink and green. You can easily, if you did that, with a couple lovely rose-colored candles on a centerpiece.
So what I find interesting about this is that you're reusing summer decorations as part of your Christmas centerpiece.
But it looks doesn't it look Christmassy?
Yeah.
It may be a pineapple.
Yeah.
But you've incorporated the colors.
Yeah.
So it's just, people don't really think about that. But putting those two colors together, then I realized what I would have. It depends what you collect. Some people don't.
Yeah.
But if you do, why not just bring out stuff? You can blend season. It doesn't just have to be from Christmas.
I think, it ties into what we were talking about earlier about budget. And budget can sometimes be a creative curveball, right? Because, some of us love to go to Pier 1, but others may not necessarily be in that income bracket.
Totally.
So it's nice to know that, you have options. Sometimes you don't know what you have at home, right?
Absolutely. And I do encourage that for sure.
Yeah.
Because, you reuse, and that's a big thing for us environmentally. Keep reusing it, save it, don't throw it away. Like this, some things like I've had for years. This Garland I've had, I don't know, probably 10 years. Really, you can just keep reusing it.
And it looks beautiful. We only have a couple minutes left before the end of our segment, but you sent us some photos of trees, Christmas trees.
So let's
bring those up on the screen, some of the photos of the trees. So talk to us a little bit about, the color palette of the tree.
So I picked that palette just because it matched the wall. And then you'll see the sprigs, and I refer to sprigs, anything with a stick, pine cones, I always love to use in my trees. All of my trees have, and these are fantastic to work with, anything, and they take up space nicely. Those I encourage everybody, pine cones, anything you get on a stick.
Yeah.
So sprigs are really huge, and they look beautiful in a tree, beautiful in a tree. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Anything else that you've got to show us when it comes to the garland in this segment?
I think, it's really, I didn't want to bring too much, but I want to just make sure you can add whatever you'd like, a little fun anywhere. It's really up to this. There's no one right way to do it.
And that's so refreshing. That's so great to know.
And it's just, I would just go with how you're feeling and just be creative and don't be afraid of color.
And invite the kids. I think kids have great ideas sometimes.
They do.
Once you establish the colors and you put together everything that they can use, they're very good at it. My boys were really good when they were younger, but not so much anymore. They don't want to do it anymore, but they really were very creative. And there's the pride that they have afterwards. And you can always, once they go to bed, tweak it a little bit.
Of course. Oh, yes. We don't tell, but my husband's that way. There's things to be tweaked. You let them do it, and then you just tweak it a little.
Yeah.
Don't tell them.
Wonderful. Well, I'm really excited to hear a little bit more about some of the other topics that you mentioned, like dining, entertaining, creative cocktails, and things like that. And of course, Julie, we want to talk about some of the sticky situations that come up at holiday gatherings, gifting, tipping, and things like that. So don't go away. After the break, we'll be back with lots more. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back to Ottawa Experts. I'm your host, Barbara Balfour. On tonight's show, we're talking about holiday entertaining and etiquette with very special guests, party stylist Deneen May and etiquette expert Julie Blais-Comeau. I am so excited that you've brought us a place setting and to talk about how to elevate that table setting to something that's really special. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, Julie, you did something very similar recently at the University of Ottawa. You talked about the etiquette of place settings and
dining etiquette. I also did an event at the Montreal Ritz-Carlton. So it was called Sans Stress Holiday Hosting. And actually everyone can go to my website. When you go to my website, there's a little heart at the top and they're free resources. And if you click there, you're going to see all the different types of place settings. So if you're setting up for a brunch, if you're setting up for a traditional turkey dinner, it's all there. But the basics of place setting typically and generally are from the outside in. So the utensils that you will be using will be going from the outside in. So for example, in France, we know that the salad is served after the main course. So the salad fork would be closest to the plate, and then you'd have the main, and then if you had an entree before that, you would have that small fork. Over on your right side, you would have the knife, and then if you had a potage or a soup, you would have your spoon. And the big question, when you get to one of these galas, you've been real estate champion of the year many times before, right, Deneen? So when you get to that gala, most people look around the table and they wonder, which one is my bread plate? Which one is my wine glass? So here's the tip. BMW. B is for bread, so my bread plate goes to the left. M is for my meal, and W is for wine or water. And if you have little children, and this is the perfect occasion, take your children and get them to do B and D. B and D, so B is for bread, D is for drink. So when you go to my website, you can just click on the place setting. It's a PDF. You can print it and put it inside the door, so everybody, even the little ones, can now set the table.
So it's basically eat to my left, drink to my right.
Eat to your left, drink to your right. Exactly.
Okay.
You have to be careful about having the knife, and we could go on and on about the history of utensils. You have to make sure that the blade of your knife is towards you at all times.
So if someone says, please pass the butter knife, you should never pass it to them with the pointy end facing them.
Yes, and when you're eating, in your plate, it should be towards you. And then silent service codes with the utensils. We could go on and on. We'll have a whole other show about dining etiquette.
Yes.
That is a whole other
So we
show.
know what to do with the plates and the cutlery, but how do we make it look pretty?
Make it look pretty. Now I didn't want to put my cutlery down. I find it's just going to get a little bit all over the place. But yeah, so I brought one little plate. Now these basic white plates, but how to make them look a little bit nicer. And it doesn't have to be traditional. This is just a little traditional, but I love it.
That,
adds a little excitement. I'm just gonna.
So a little bit of Scottish plaid, basically.
Yeah. And there we go, and add some glasses. So now it just adds a little life to it, right?
Yeah.
So now again, it really depends how much you want to spend. It depends on budget. It may not be in the budget, but you can get a little more creative. And you can also start changing the chargers, right?
Now, what do you mean by charger? Is that like a placemat?
It's like a little placemat.
The charger is actually this plate
charger.
over here. This
And
is the charger.
second charger.
Okay.
Yeah, and this over here, because it's fabric,
Right.
it's the placemat. But the charger is like a bigger plate, and a lot of times in restaurants it just stays there throughout the meal, and it will have the ability of catching extra drops as well, as opposed to going directly on the linen.
On the linen. And why is it called a charger?
It's just called the charger. I don't know
It's
why,
always
but
been
you know
called
what?
a charger. I don't
Okay.
know. I don't have the answer for that. But yeah, definitely you can do that. And you can certainly do different things too, which is exciting, with napkin rings to add a little presentation to there.
That's very nice. Now, that's a nice Scottish plaid. I don't even really think of it as Christmassy, but that's another example of how you can reuse linens and plates and things like that.
And you can get a little fun. You can have with color. It doesn't. If you have plates that don't match, don't worry about it.
Love the mix and match.
Right?
I really like that.
Very, very nice.
So it's not an etiquette faux pas?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
No. And let's get a little more masculine. Let's get rid of the white entirely and do black.
So when might you go with that more severe look? Would it depend on the kind of guests that you're inviting?
Exactly. Or on the host. You know, Janine, that's too white. Let's do something more masculine. And get rid of the sparkle.
Okay.
Right? And then becomes a little bit more masculine.
So let's say you're having a more serious gathering, then you might go with the black plates, for example, discussing a more serious topic, for example.
It all depends how you feel. The art of this is really just doing, what makes you inspired, how you feel.
But I think a big part of being a great host is being super in tune with who your guests are.
Right.
And, having that sense of intuition. What are some of their needs and likes and wants.
And also being it's like you're the conductor.
Right.
When you are the host, you are the conductor. And from the moment that invitation goes out, the invitation has clues as to the level of formality. The calligraphy, the font that is used will give you tips about it. If you're insistent on the dress code, it should go on the invitation. Some people go as far as to putting a start time and an end time. But that invitation, you're sending hints all along the way as to what the expectations are. Once the moment that they get to the door and they see the decorations, they start to know what to expect.
Right.
So it's not rude to invite someone to your home and sort of say in the invitation, here's when I want you out the door.
you know your people, and sometimes it's best to have it written and to state expectations ahead of time, as opposed to having that malaise, that faux pas, where there may be someone that's uncomfortable towards the end of the evening.
Right.
So if you know, and if you must get to bed, you're catching a flight tomorrow, you know your little one's going to be up at 5:30, it's okay to set the expectations. You don't have to stay up all night partying and have an open bar if that was not your intention. You are the host, so you're the conductor. You're the one who fascinates the making of memories in your home.
That's exactly what it's about. It's about making memories, just so to make your presentation memorable.
And,
so
it's your party, so your rules,
party.
right?
So
we have a caller on the line. Janetta, are you with us?
I am.
Hi,
yes,
Janetta.
I am.
Thank you so much for calling in. Did you have a question for our guests?
Yes. Well, I wanted to just not really ask a question, but just say, to make the whole evening really easy and simple for your guests, is if you put a name tag down where everybody knows where they sit, because I noticed that people get to the table and, where do I sit? Where do I sit?
I totally agree with the name tag. Yeah.
Sorry. Yes. I think they're wonderful.
Yeah, they are wonderful, and you can get very creative. I didn't bring name tags with me today. Jeanette, maybe I should have, but an excellent idea, because I always, every dinner party, definitely a little name tag, and whatever, you can put it on the plate, on the wherever you want to place it.
And you know, Jeanette, you're very, very wise. The assigning of seating is something of protocol.
It's an art form, isn't it?
Well, more than art, it is protocol, and you will honor certain guests by placing them in certain areas. Of course, to the right of the host or the hostess is the place of honor. And do you know that in diplomatic circles, you can see the whole entire team of protocol trying to figure out a seating arrangement. Quick story, a few years ago, when Barack and Michelle Obama were at the White House, well, President Hollande was caught, and where it was finally found out that he had a mistress. So he called the White House. He was expected at the White House, and you may remember this, Jeanette, as well. He called the White House. Well, of course, one of his aides called, and he was now coming solo. Well, can you imagine that for months now, the seating plan had been set? So now what were they to do? How would they make it so that all the guests are comfortable and reassign all the seating? So what they did, they had President Barack Obama over here to the left, and then to his right was the President of France, and then Michelle came on the other side. So that way they were both on each side of him. But yes, assigning seating is of primary importance, and it can be done on paper, it can be done on a plate, on a glass. It could also be an ornament that they get to take home.
Put it right here in the center of this. It looks lovely there.
And when you know that some people may be feuding,
yes, what do you do?
Oh, you can be very strategic.
Yeah. Thank you so much for calling in, Janetta. What if you want to play Matchmaker?
Yes, that's a great thing.
Good one.
Yes, yes, definitely. Matchmaker or avoid feuds, either ends of the spectrum, that works.
And again, you have to be very intuitive and sort of in tune with your guests' needs and interests. Like this person would have a lot to talk about with that person versus these two people would have absolutely nothing in common.
Exactly. And as the host, I also like to have in the middle of the table, I have this bowl that has tons and tons of confettis, and I put in there strips of paper. So just in case you don't have that fluid conversation, and on these pieces of paper, I will have highlight of the year, favorite movie, favorite quotation, what is the book that inspired you most? And everybody can go around the table. And also, when you can sense that there may be a little bit of friction at the end of the table, you can say, well, Barbara, it's your turn. Why don't you pick out a topic for now, so you can just steer the conversation.
Uncle Bob strikes again.
We all have one.
Yes, we all have an Uncle Bob in the family. We only have 2 minutes left until the end of our segment, so what would you like to show us here?
I'm just getting a bit more. Can I have that little white one back? I'm just getting a little bit more exciting. Just get a little more.
So here's the more masculine place setting, and now what would this be called? This flower here.
You know what? I mean, it's basically a placemat.
Yeah.
So a pretty placemat, then your charger and your dinner plate, and you've just added a little element there, which I love. I love. And don't be afraid. And if you don't want to spend money, you don't have to spend a lot of money if you ever want to add on these little things like that. Very easy, just to add a little touch of fun to your, and those you can reuse and reuse every year, just for, just because. It's something to keep and always have in stock, and no matter, you can put them in the garland, on the wreath, you can use them everywhere.
And so some basic colors to sort of always keep in stock, it seems, are reds, golds, whites, blacks, some neutrals. Yeah.
You cannot.
And I mean, these are things that you
could
could
just reds.
And these are just things you could get at the dollar store. Julie, is it appropriate to bring things like this as a hostess gift?
Absolutely. Those are some of my favorite things because they're seasonal, they change, and the host can use them once, twice, or even pass them on.
So it's not offensive to the host.
Absolutely
I don't think
not.
so. I think as a woman anyway, I think we love to receive
and to get help. We're just at the end of our segment, but when we come back, I want to hear more about etiquette, the etiquette side of things. So thank you so much to you both. We'll be right back after the break. Don't go away. Back to Ottawa Experts. I'm your host, Barbara Balfour. If you see sparkles everywhere in the studio, it's because we're talking about how to get into the holiday spirit this festive season at home, at the table, with your guests at parties everywhere and in the office. I'm joined in the studio with very special guests, Deneen May and Julie Blake-Como, and we're talking about etiquette in this segment. First of all, when you're invited to a holiday party, how late should you arrive? Should you arrive right on time? Should you arrive fashionably late?
Absolutely. The answer is arrive on time. There's no such thing as fashionably late.
Really?
If it's an open house, then you can come and go or get there a little bit later, but definitely on time. Imagine someone is serving beef Wellington and you just show up an hour later, half an hour later. And if you are going to be late as a guest, your responsibility is to call as soon as possible. If you're invited for 6 o'clock at night, well, you probably know by 5:15 that you're going to be delayed. So pick up the phone. This is not a texting moment. This is not an email moment. This is a telephone call. You want to make sure that you make contact with them. And then you're going to give another expected time of arrival. And you'll stretch it a little bit, just to make sure that you're there when you're supposed to, because life happens. There could be circulation, there could be, just as you go out the door, the little one comes and is hugging you and has chocolate.
Yeah, it's such
and you have to change.
It's such an important sign of respect, I find, to be
really
on time for someone. But we have a caller on the line, another Julie. Julie, are you with us?
I am.
Hi, thank you so much for calling. Did you have a question for us?
I actually have two questions, if it's okay, please.
Great, yes.
Okay, so the first question is, when you were talking about cutlery and things like that, when you're all done eating, you put your fork and your knife on your plate, but is it supposed to face a certain way, or?
Absolutely. And I guess, Barbara, we're going to have to do a full segment. I wish I had a fork and a knife. Could I borrow your pen? I'm just going to do a demonstration. So here we go. So when you're eating, and whether you're resting or it's the end. So Julie, are you with me? We're going to take a look as if we're doing a bird's eye view. So picture that you have a clock. And I have 12, 6, 3, and 9. So everybody can see that. So while I'm eating, right, and I'm cutting, if I am resting, what is important to note, and I guess, which camera is taking this? Okay. So what's important to note is, so I'm just going to go back to my clock here to make sure that everybody's with me. So we've got our clock. This is 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3, and 9. And so when I'm eating and I'm resting, my utensils, there should be space between them. So the tines of my fork are here and the blade of my knife is here. Okay? Now, when I am done, I'm going to bring my fork with my knife, the blade of my knife, my fork with the tines down. So I'm between 3 and 6. Okay. That is the signal that I am done. Because traditionally, servers serve on the left and take away on the right. These days, sometimes in certain establishments, they will serve on the left, but always take away on the right. So when my utensils are on the right, they come and off they go.
Perfect.
That was a
So
good
I'm doing it good. I'm right.
Did you have a second question for us?
I did. I'm just thinking, like, what is like the average budget for a party like this? You know, like a nice dinner party. Nothing too crazy, but like the average dinner party.
Yeah.
What's the budget?
That's very personal for the cost. It's really your own personal budget.
Yeah.
Because there are
Yeah.
people who will spend $100 just on buying their fish or their meat. Like
Yeah.
it's it's very, very personal.
Is there a realistic range?
Yeah, like
Yeah, and Julie, if you go to my website, and once again back to the free resources, I developed a checklist, sans stress holiday checklist, and it's a countdown from 3 weeks. And that first thing that you should establish is your budget, and then you're going to divide that budget. How much is going to go towards the food? How much towards the booze? How much towards decoration? And you are going to respect that. You can be creative, and this is where the invitations may be for potluck or accepting your guest's invitation for contributions going to come in. But the budget is reality, and that's really where it starts.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for calling in, Julie.
Thank you so much. Amazing show.
Thank you. We're going to get into more detail with the stress-free holiday checklist, but I wanted to go back to what some of the obligations are for the guests. So, for example, is it ever okay to go to a party, to go to someone's home empty-handed? Like, what if you know them really well? What if they're family?
Yes.
I would say no to that.
Yeah. Well, do you know that hostess gifts is something that is cultural, something that is traditional? You know your people. And let's define culture. Culture is not necessarily the country of origin. If I say to you, is the culture in Canada different than that in the Glebe, than that maybe in Gatineau or Montreal? Absolutely. But to someone abroad, when they look at our country, we're all the same. So it depends on the culture. Let's go back in time as well. Originally, the hostess gift, when you offered a hostess gift, was to disengage yourself of the obligation of reciprocating the invitation.
That was going to be my
That
question.
that is the etiquette guideline. So if you invite me to your home, within the season, Barbara, I'll be hosting you back. But life goes on very quickly. The children have soccer, you have that, your spouse, whatever it is. So by offering a hostess gift, I am recognizing the investment of your time, the investment, of course, of money, and I am saying that I'm grateful, but we're even. So I don't have to invite you back.
If I bring you a gift, I don't have to invite you to my home. So it's either or, it's not both.
Well, it depends again. Let's remember, it's cultural. So if in your circle of friends, that's usually how it goes. You bring something, and usually the amount is about $20 to $25. If you stay overnight, the weekend could be $40 to $50. It depends. But right now, we're at about the $20 to $25 range is usually what it is. So it depends on how it is in your circle. And maybe at some point, if it's just this week it's you, the next week is Deneen, then it's me, and then we go back all over again, well, maybe at some point we say, you know what, why don't we stop with the hostess gifts?
Deneen, what's the best hostess gift you've ever received?
Oh, I always get great hostess gifts, actually. I've got great friends. Oh.
Do you prefer if they send it to your home ahead of time, like flowers, for example?
Oh, no, they don't need to do that. No, no, no. When they come, they appreciate that I've held, whether it be small for 6 or for 20 or for 60, bring a little bottle of wine, I mean, it's just nice to get a little something for sure, although not obligatory whatsoever.
Now, you ladies are obviously both women who really set the bar high when it comes to entertaining, when it comes to having a beautiful home or a beautiful spread on the table. Do you have any expectations of reciprocity? Do you ever find yourself disappointed in sort of more casual settings?
No, the casual, I like the casual.
Yeah, I do too.
You could come to my home. My husband's from the Maritimes, and in the summer, we usually maybe a family event or maybe with friends and a big lobster feast. Well, the table is lined with newspaper, and do you know why? Because the newspaper will absorb the water, and the ink from the newspaper will also, especially now that we don't get garbage collection all the time like what we used to once upon a time, it will also absorb the odors, and it's very much à la bonne franquette. And we would even use a hammer or a bat to crack the lobsters. Once again, as the host, you decide on the level of formality. Because you're coming to my home doesn't mean that it's going to be a 5-course meal, but it will mean that the table will be set. Yes, it will be set the right way. Actually, I may not even set the table. I may have the utensils in different containers and everybody does their own thing. I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of having people contribute a little bit. I'm a big fan of having stations to encourage people to move around the home, even the condo, use the laundry room and make it become a bar, decorate it, use the garage and make it a dance floor.
Maximize your space.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Just be creative, and it doesn't have to be expensive, and it doesn't have to be formal. Just with your little eye, look at your home and then decide, I could do this, I could move that, and this is what I've got. If I put it all together, it's going to look different. It becomes magical.
I love that. We have a caller on the line. Laura, are you with us?
Yes, I am. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for calling in. Did you have a question for us?
Yes, I do. My question is, let's say you're sitting at the dinner table and the food is not very good. You're not enjoying.
I've been there.
I have
been
been
there.
there, yeah.
Me too.
What's the tactful way of either not eating it, hiding it, putting it in a napkin? What do you do?
What do you do? What have you done before, Laura? What have you done? Have you ever been, and remember when you were younger and you'd be invited to your neighbors and you looked in your plate and you'd never had that before in your life? So what did you do? Well, you would probably start to play around with your food, and then you'd probably tell a little lie like something, oh, I don't think I feel very good, Mrs. So-and-so, Mrs. Balfour. I don't feel that well. Well, you can do pretty much the same thing. You're just going to play around with your food and say, oh, it's been a long day. I ate a lot today. This is, and do you have to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? No.
There's always a graceful way
just
to put
play
that.
around and eat what you like. And as a host, also, the flip side of that is that as a host, I was like, Deneen, how come you're not having my potatoes?
I know.
I mashed them 13 times.
Put them on the spot.
But you can't get offended, though. Some people, and I've served salmon. I remember I had one guest didn't eat this. I mean, I didn't know. So, I mean, you don't know.
What if your guest has like a list of allergies this long? What
allergies you have to ask?
The responsibility of allergies is that of
the guest?
Absolutely. It is that of the guest, because as a host, you cannot please everyone. No. And let's keep in mind that allergies, if I have allergies, it's quite different than if I'm doing a keto diet or whatever it is that they're going to come out with. So the responsibility of the allergies is that of a guest. As a host, if I'm hosting one or two other couples, well, then I will inquire. But as a host, as a hostess, it's not my responsibility to inquire. I have a menu, I have something that I've planned, I have pairings. It's not my responsibility.
I'm so relieved to hear you say that, because it can be so expensive. People are gluten-free and lactose-free and vegan.
And you can't.
And then they want to bring their pet.
Oh, it gets really expensive. And I want to talk about that as one of the sticky situations in the next segment. You brought us some interesting props that I want to get into when we come back from the break. So don't go away. More answers to your holiday etiquette questions. Hi, welcome back to Ottawa Experts. I'm your host, Barbara Balfour, and tonight we're answering all your questions on holiday entertaining and etiquette. Deneen, I want to talk cocktails and charcuterie. How do you put together the perfect little appetizer board? Maybe we could pull up some of the photos that you've sent us. Are there essential elements of a charcuterie board?
There's always essential elements of charcuterie boards.
There you go. Beautiful. You had your own charcuterie board made, right?
I bought at 5. I always wanted one to take the length of the dining room table.
This is what I mean by next level.
Yeah. So, I mean, that because I always found a charcuterie board generally is fairly small and wasn't enough to work with.
Yeah.
So I got a 5-foot long one. I finished it myself. I had the live edge on it. And I just feel it just that way you can really portray what you want.
Yeah.
And you can get everything on there.
So what does everything look like for you?
So you definitely have your meats on there. I mean, it depends on what you want, but you always want to have your deli meats on there and a little bit of bread, your olives, a little bit of jam. Or like anything that's like a little spread, and always have tiny little spoons for people, little forks, because you don't want lots of fingers on things.
And napkins. Yeah. That is my biggest pet peeve. When I'm invited somewhere, I can't find a napkin for my fingers.
Yes. Yeah.
You'll always find them at my house.
Oh, good. Can't wait to go.
I'm sure they're color-coded. We have a caller on the line. Paula, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Hi.
Hi, thanks so much for calling. What's your question?
Well, I'm going to be holding a dinner party, and I guess one of the questions I have is there like an expectation of what I should or shouldn't serve at my dinner party? Like something that, people would be like, really, this is what you're serving? Do you know what I mean? Like, is there a certain level?
Even hot dogs can be fun. And everybody loves those little cocktail wieners, don't you?
Yeah,
I
those
love
are
them.
fun. Denny, what do you think?
Again, that's very your guests, your people know what you, and you know what they like, and they know what you like. So I mean, I think it's anytime I've ever had people over, they sort of know what to expect.
What about those things that you buy at like Costco and you heat them up, like those microwavable? Is that cutting corners?
Why not? What is important is that you're comfortable, that you're going to like what you're serving, that you're going to make sure that everybody's having a good time. One thing for sure, it's not the time to experiment. This is not the time that you just watched on TV on the Food Network this great recipe and you decided you're going to be Gordon Ramsay. It's not going to happen.
Don't do it.
That's when the
Even Rachel Ray makes it seem so cool. It's just not going to happen. So you want to do something that you're comfortable, even if it's your favorite spaghetti sauce, and you jazz it up a little bit just by making
herbs, right?
Fresh herbs, maybe different cheeses that people can put on top. And that's a tip that I love to do. Always give your guests choices. So if you're going to do spaghetti, you could do an Alfredo sauce, a tomato sauce, and a meat sauce. Just put a little bit of fun into it.
And it's really good to prepare things, I find especially. I like to do a lot of stuff ahead of time. So it's ready. I just keep it on the side, and then when I feel it's time to bring the next tapas out, you just bring it out into the oven. And so then there's just stages as you go. Every half an hour, bring something else out and then serve. You just go by how you feel. But I think that for me anyway, preparation ahead of time. There are people who are really comfortable with doing things, but I'm not Gordon Ramsay, and I'm not going to do it in front of you.
As far as preparation goes, what you want to do when you're prepping, you're going to go backwards. So the first thing that you're going to do on that day is to take out your cheeses, get your desserts ready, and then you move.
That's my favorite part.
Isn't it? You move all the way back until you're at the point where you're cutting your bread and your appetizers. So if a guest shows up a little bit early or unannounced, they'll be delighted. They'll say, "Can I help you?" And then, "Sure, could you please cut the bread, or could you please put these appetizers on these plates?" So work backwards.
Okay. Yeah. Really smart idea.
Thanks so much for calling in, Paula. I want to get to the sticky situations. So you've brought us some interesting.
And we have some that I have on my phone.
So you can pick
a number, any number, pick a ball, any ball, and there is a number.
Number 4.
Number 4. Okay.
So this is a typical awkward situation that might pop up over the holidays.
Yes. So number 4. What if it's dinner time and many of my family members arrive at the table with their cell phones? What do you do?
That's a pet peeve.
That is a pet peeve.
Now, I've heard, like, if you're at a restaurant, the trick is you get everyone to put their phones face down, and the first person who reaches for it has to pay for dinner.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes, like the phone. Yes, you know what I'd like to do? If you have a family where everybody's on all their technology, including their iPads and their iThis and their iThat, have a little basket. When people come in, and you can write something on it that says, let's make memories, eyes to eyes, instead of eyes to scalp.
Yes.
So, and then everybody puts their technology in there. Gather around the table, get that selfie, everybody click that selfie, and then put away the technology.
I love that.
That's a
And
good
just to
idea.
state it. You know what, guys? Why don't you do what you've got to do, and let's focus.
Yeah.
This is the one time a year where we are all together.
Yeah.
I'm anxious to hear all about you and what happened this year, so let's put it away.
Right, right.
Denny, why don't you pick one?
All right.
Number one.
Number one.
What if a family member asks an indiscreet questions? And I'm going to call this the auntie questions, because I'm an auntie and I know that sometimes I could be the one doing that.
So what's an
Indiscreet,
example of
yeah.
an indiscreet question? What shouldn't you ask someone?
Barbara, we see you everywhere. My gosh, you're doing so great. How much money are you making?
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
That is terrible.
I'm squirming.
And you have people that will do that. They will ask about money. People will ask, you look so good. Did you get anything
Oh,
done?
done to your face. Oh.
Big
That's not a good
no-no.
one.
Or, how come a beautiful girl like you doesn't have a boyfriend or a girlfriend?
Yeah.
So all these questions, and you can, for all these questions, first of all, when you know your people, you can prepare ahead of time. You can prepare yourself. So you may want to use humor. Oh, well, my GPS hasn't found Prince Charming yet.
Yeah.
Or, I'm doing very well, thank you, but I could always make more. Do you have any tips for me? Or, that's really interesting. Why would you ask me that?
Okay.
So you can use humor, you can ask a question, and you can go from a perspective of interest.
Probably the important thing is to stay calm, right?
To stay calm, and what always works? You can change the subject. How about them Ottawa Senators?
Now I'm going to change the subject because we have a caller on the line. Tom, are you with us? Do we still have Tom on the line?
Oh, don't be shy.
I'm here.
Hi, Tom. Did you have a question for our guests?
I do. The question is this. It's an expectation in my family that when we come for Christmas, we make something homemade. But I do not bake very well, and I'm supposed to bring a pie. Is it appropriate for me to bring a store-bought pie and pass it off as something that I made?
Oh, now I hope your family members are not listening, because Santa is.
I think it's okay to buy a pie and say you bought the pie.
This is the best I could
Exactly.
do.
Yeah.
Say you bought the pie, definitely. Or maybe you can encourage someone locally that has made it. Maybe there's a pie shop where they make it all from scratch, and you can say,
Yes.
I didn't make it, but someone made it with
Someone
love,
did,
and
yes.
they're right around the corner from me. So you have different options, but definitely
So it's
you should
okay.
tell the truth.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think you should.
Thanks so much for calling in, Tom. I'm going to help myself to another sticky situation. Number 2.
Number 2. So, what if Uncle Bob
Uncle Bob.
tells off-color jokes? And you know he's always going to do that. How do you avoid that?
Oh boy. Don't invite Uncle Bob?
Yes.
Is that an option?
What you'd like to do is maybe go to your spouse, if your spouse is closest, or if you're closest to Uncle Bob, and you want to place a phone call to Uncle Bob and say, Uncle Bob, we really love having you, but this year we want to keep everything G-rated.
Clean.
And in our household, we believe in diversity, whatever it is. So G-rated, when you go to the movies, Uncle Bob knows that it has to be appropriate for everybody. And sometimes you may need to reiterate, in our household, we believe in diversity. And I know that it's a sticky situation, but sometimes it's even generational. When we think back to maybe what was said even 25 years ago, these days may not be appropriate. So you want to remind themselves of that ahead of time. Once the affair, once the evening is going on, if it happens again, you may have that in the middle of the table, one of those topics of conversation that you reach out to, or when people start to move around, again, the person that is closest to Uncle Bob is going to go and remind Uncle Bob of the guidelines in your household.
Have you ever had a tough conversation like that, Deneen, with an Uncle Bob or someone like that?
I actually haven't. I know it sounds really, but I can say that I haven't.
I've been lucky.
No.
Because my fear would be like, what if Uncle Bob gets angry?
Right.
Well, you have a choice. You have a choice. You let somebody else be offended in your home without saying anything, or Uncle Bob is angry. So that's why you set the expectation, you set the tone ahead of time. And then when you feel it deviating, you know, we're so glad everybody came. We want to remind everybody that our household is one of harmony. And I know that you may sound preachy, but you're best when you see it going that way, you're best to go that way.
But people can get like that too when they've been drinking too, right?
Yes, yes.
So how do you cut people off?
You know what? You just kind of do.
You do.
You just, you know, enough's enough. I mean, and you kind of put your hand on their back and you talk to them and like, okay, like let's settle down. Yeah. And I think most people, I mean, they're usually your people, so I think most people are.
And just to serve a lot of water, to have sparkling.
Get the water out.
Yeah, get the water out.
Have some water.
Yes, and make the water appealing.
Put some strawberries in there.
Strawberries, slices of apple. Offer people regularly sparkling water. Offer, have everybody made their safe ride arrangements ahead of time. Anybody going to be calling on a Uber, make sure that you get the keys. That safety, that responsibility is huge.
So much of hosting, it sounds like it's about being attentive and taking charge, and being in charge from the beginning to the end, not being afraid to maybe step on a few toes, but again, that's sort of the art form of etiquette, right? Only 1 minute left until the end of our time together, ladies. Deneen, tell us where we can find you. You've got some events coming up next year.
I've got a spring event. I always like to have a little workshop in the spring and the summer. So I just like to have sometimes a workshop just to sit down with people and go over preparing for the spring.
And we can find those workshops on your website?
Yes, you will. And same with the summer is my most favorite, because then we go over patio and the same thing we did today, then we just flip it to summer.
I love
that. It is the most fun, actually.
And really quickly, Julie, where can we find you?
etiquettejulie.com.
Perfect. And do you have anything coming up?
Next week I'm going to be in Toronto. On Friday I'm in Montreal. But go to my website or Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and you can find out all about it. Or my newsletter is free.
A woman of many talents. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us tonight. It was a real pleasure.
Happy holidays.
Getting your advice and your expertise. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Have a great evening.